With the rise of climate change headers in the media, many are beginning to ask themselves where they fit into this climate change narrative. With more research being published, documentaries being released, and articles being printed, it's no surprise that human intervention is reinforcing the effects of climate change. Previously, people linked climate change with air pollution and thought the solution was in more green modes of transportation. However, the solution we ignored for decades won't be enough today in 2019, when CO2 levels are at their highest in 650,000 years. The global temperature has gone up 1.9 degrees Fahrenheit. 12.8% of the Arctic ice has melted, and the sea level is rising at 3.3 millimeters per year. The reason being is that there are more important factors to climate change than the transportation sector. It's what we're not talking about that's hurting us the most. According to the EPA, it's the agriculture sector that accounts for 24% of global greenhouse gas emissions. This means that the world's food system accounts for a quarter of greenhouse gases every year. Hearing that, we can't help but wonder, does what I eat have an effect on climate change? The short answer is yes. But why? Why does feeding the Earth's population exert so much pressure on the planet? Weren't we designed to eat food? Yes, but harvesting crops, raising and breeding animals, and producing animal products to meet our high demands on top of processing, packaging, and shipping food miles away takes a toll on the planet. It becomes an issue of clearing forests to make room to build farms, to house animals that release methane, to then use machinery that require fossil fuels, to then ship these animals and animal products miles away, all to get to our plate. Carbon dioxide, methane, other greenhouse gases, and fossil fuels are all polluting the atmosphere as a direct result. There's no disputing it. If you eat food, you're part of this system. So which foods have the largest impact? Well, it's probably no surprise that the world's beef production creates the most planet-warming emissions overall. But the next culprit, according to one Oxford study, may be more surprising: dairy products. The making of dairy products contributes to about 3.6% of total global warming emissions each year. How did it get this bad? According to Dr. Adrian Calmiri, research shows that people tend to underestimate the greenhouse gas emissions from food, and dairy milk is no exception. R.G. Smythe captures the dilemma perfectly. Milk is one of the most important industries in the civilized countries of the world. With children, it is indispensable. With milk being something so heavily ingrained in our diets, what should we do? Thankfully, there are options here. If you walk into your local grocery store, or even CVS nowadays, you are more than likely to find dairy milk sharing shelves with plant-based milks. We have soy, almond, rice, oat, and coconut milk to choose from. There's no shortage of plant-based options. And if you look at the cartons of plant-based milk, the eye-catching, bright packaging with the word pure suggests the milk's quality is no less than that of the finest dairy milk. But can we trust that these plant-based options are really that much better than dairy milk? Well, if you had a glass of almond milk once a day for the whole year, then you would be contributing 51 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions annually. That's the same as driving 130 miles and heating the average UK home for 8 days, or taking 416 showers 8 minutes long. Similarly, if you had a glass of soy milk once a day, then you would be contributing even more. You would be contributing 71 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions annually. That's the same as driving a car for 182 miles and heating the average home for 11 days. However, it's worth noting that all of the mentioned plant-based milks still require less water than the typical glass of dairy milk. Over an entire year, 1 glass of dairy milk a day is contributing 229 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions annually, the same as driving a car 585 miles, heating the average home for 36 days, and taking 700 showers. Ultimately, the greenhouse gas emissions used in the production of plant-based milk are lower than for dairy milk. so it is better than dairy. It sounds weird to commit to that, though, after watching Water and Power on Netflix, the documentary that exposed Paramount, a leading almond company among other crops, guilty of depriving towns in California of water because of their rows and rows of almond orchards. Remember, it takes 1 gallon to produce a single almond. So, what really is the best option here? Do we buy plant-based milk? Do we switch to buying dairy milk from local farms? Or do we just stick to buying the dairy milk from corporations we grew up trusting? When it comes to our diets, there's no perfect answer. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says we need to buy less beef, milk, cheese, and butter, but also eat more locally sourced seasonal food and throw less of it away. That doesn't necessarily mean going vegan or vegetarian. It just means cutting down how many times you eat these a week and trying to switch them with protein choices that have lower carbon footprints. The power of these choices consumers can make really goes underestimated. Swapping from dairy milk to almond milk, for example, saves 178 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions annually. That's more greenhouse gases than you would think.